Hello and welcome back to another episode of Math with Son. Today we're going to be solving some rational equations, so let's get into it. So, if you have a rational equation like we have here, the first thing you need to do is factor anything and everything you can because you never know how much easier it will actually make everything. So here, what multiplies to 18 but adds to negative 9 is negative 6 and negative 3, negative 6 and negative 3. I'm going to go ahead and change this to a plus negative 5 because I don't like having a negative in front. And then the b minus 6. And then it would equal, this is the exact same thing, so this is going to be b minus 6 and b minus 3, which is what multiplies to 18 but adds to negative 9. From here, in order to solve, you will have to multiply every single thing by every single thing. Sorry, I wanted to get a different color for you. So I do it like kind of slanty. I am multiplying everything that is on the bottom on the top of the equation only. So here we got a b minus 6 and a b minus 3. Here we got a b minus 6, and here we have a b minus 6 and a b minus 3. I don't need to multiply by the things that are like repeating. I would need to multiply by the things that happen more than once on like one fraction. But in total, all we have is a b minus 6 and a b minus 3. So we are doing the Oper method. B minus 6 and b minus 3. Everybody gets a b minus 6 and a b minus 3. You get a b minus 6 and a b minus 3. Everybody's getting a b minus 6 and a b minus 3. If it cancels, great. B minus 6 cancels. B minus 3 cancels. Hooray. B minus 6 is gone. B minus 6, B minus 6, B minus 3, B minus 3. All of those are canceling. And the only thing you have left after all of those canceling is a 1, because everything canceled off the bottom here, plus a negative 5 times a b minus 3, which I supposedly could have distributed, equals 3. Now you have a normal equation that you can go ahead and solve. We're going to distribute the negative 5. We get 1 minus 5b plus 15 would equal 3. And then we're going to just subtract the 15. Actually, we're going to combine. Negative 5b plus 16 equals 3. Negative 5b, when we subtract the 16, would equal negative 13, which means b equals regular 13 divided by 5. Now, you may notice there it says, remember to check for extraneous solutions. If you plugged in 13 over 5 for any of the bottom of the fraction-y parts, would it force you to divide by 0? That's what that means. And 13 divided by 5, if you plug it in, would definitely not force you to divide by 0. So that one is okay. The only two answers that would not be allowed would be 6, because 6 minus 6 is 0, and 3, because 3 minus 3 is 0. So the factors kind of indicate what answers are not allowed. All right? Moving right along. This one may seem easier, but my students tend to struggle with it. We don't have to factor right away. This is a 5 over 1. You also don't need to add those fractions before we do the first step, which is really everybody gets what is on the bottom of the fraction. Well, the bottom of the fraction is a v minus 4, a v minus 4, and a v minus 4. Wherever it cancels, it goes away. So here, the v minus 4s would cancel, leaving us with 1 equals. Here, nothing cancels, so it'd be 5 times v minus 4. And here, the v minus 4s would cancel, so then it would be plus 5. You get to solve that equation. 1 would equal 5v minus 20 plus 5. 1 would equal 5v minus 15. V would not be equal to that yet. 5v would equal 16, so 16 divided by 5. Is that one of the factors? No. V minus 4 is the factor, so the only answer that would not be allowed would be 4. 16 over 5 is definitely not 4, so this one's okay. Moving right along with the ones that are a little funky. These, I would say, you should not really multiply by what you're missing, but you should think that way for the A's, but maybe not for the 2's and the 4's, because if I were to try and add these all together, I would try and make the bottom of this fraction a 4a squared, because I could turn a 2 into a 4. And I could turn an a into an a squared. So in this case, we are going to try and make the bottom, if we were to add them together, we would multiply everything by what it would need to get to a 4a squared. So because we would get to a 4a squared, that is what we multiply every single thing by. So you essentially multiply on these weird ones where it's not really factors, not necessarily by what you're missing, although it would work, but what would you try and make the bottom if you were adding the three fractions together? A squared over a squared would cancel. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 4 divided by 4 goes away. A squared over the a would turn one of them away. It would cancel one of them out and become an a to the first. A squared over a would cancel one of them out. And 4 divided by 2 is 2. So we have 1 times 2a would equal 1 times a, from that 1 times a, minus a 1 times a 2. You could do that step kind of in your head, but it was looking a little messy. That looks very messy. So we end up with 2a equals 1a minus 2. I would subtract a over. A would equal negative 2 when you just move that 1a over. And a is allowed to equal negative 2 because when you plug it in, you would not be dividing by 0, so it again works out. All right, a few more. This is a harder topic, I know. It's definitely a harder topic. This one is more familiar with what you should expect. And it's probably going to be the last problem, too. Maybe. We'll see. See how much time I got. It's probably the last problem because my class is coming in. Here, we're going to factor everything and anything we can in the beginning because maybe we'll get lucky. If we rewrite it, we're going to get 2k plus 6, which I could factor out a 2 from that. I might choose to do that in a minute. I'm going to factor out a 3, giving me k squared plus 4k minus 5 equals 1 over 3 plus the 1 over. If we factor this, this would be k plus 5 and k minus 1. Okay, so I'm going to pause. I'm going to think before I keep going. Okay, for right now, this k squared plus 4k minus 5 was a k squared plus 4k minus 5, and I factored it. Okay, so I could factor this, and I could deal with it that way. And I might as well. Because if I did factor this part out, maybe something could happen, but nothing's really going to happen. I'm just going to be honest. But it is important that we did factor out a 3, because see how we have a 3 here and 3 here? It's not missing a 3 on this one. If we didn't do that, we would have a much harder problem. 2k plus 6, 3k plus 5, k plus 1 would equal 1 over 3 plus 1, k plus 5, k minus 1. I messed up the minus 1. Minus 1. There we go. All right, so what are we missing? Well, we're missing on this guy a 3. So this is going to get a 3 and a k plus 5 and a k minus 1. This is going to get a 3 and a k plus 5 and a k minus 1. And this is going to get a 3 and a k plus 5 and a k minus 1. But most of that's going to cancel out. Here, the k plus 5 cancels, and the k minus 1 cancels. Everything gets multiplied by everything. Here, only the 3's would cancel. Here, the k plus 5 would cancel, the k minus 1 would cancel, and the 3 would cancel. Hooray, that's like everything. So we end up with 2k plus 6 equals k plus 5, k minus 1, plus 1 times 3. And this technically had a 1 in front, but you don't need the 1. So we will eventually have to set this equal to 0 and factor. We're going to FOIL this part out, which we should know what it FOILs to because we factored it. K squared plus 4k minus 5 is this in factored form. So that's plus 4k minus 5 plus 3 equals 2k plus 6. set it equal to 0, and factor. So I'm going to move the 6 over. I'm going to move the 2k over. I'm going to run out of room. 0 equals, when I subtract the 2k from 4k, I get 2k, because subtracting 2 from 4 gets 2. If we combine -5 and 3 together, you get -2 minus 6 makes -8. From here, we factor again. This is a section all about factoring. And what multiplies to -8 but adds to +2 would be +4 and -2, which means our answers are -4 and +2. Are they allowed to equal that? And the answer is yes. You can look back at your normal factors. We could have any answer for k except for -5 or +1. So both of these work out. I'm kind of upset that nothing didn't work out, but that is sometimes how it goes. Sometimes you get all the answers in the world, and sometimes you don't. Okay? Now, I'm contemplating doing another video with this. This is a very difficult topic, and sometimes there's just some weird, quirky problems. If you're interested in that, stay tuned. Consider subscribing and liking and clicking that bell. I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.